Thank you so much for supporting us by just simply listening to Tailgate Talk. I'm host Sean Ritter. You can find me on socials at On Air Ritter. That's RIDDER. The show itself is at On the Tailgate. Would love to hear from you. Got a pretty exciting show on tap today, one we mentioned in our last episode. We're on location at archery shop that I shoot at a lot, getting ready for turkey season, talking about all kinds of stuff, springtime, in and around not just Wisconsin, but all of the Midwest. So let's just jump into it. Hey, got to get this podcast going. It is Tailgate Talk. I am host Sean Ritter, going to be joined by Wags, a.k.a. Paul Wagner, the former major leaguer, coming up here in just a bit. We're actually live on location today, Buck Rub Archery, slinging some arrows, getting ready for turkey season. I know both Paul and myself plan to hunt turkeys with a bow this spring, so we're out here getting tuned up. We're going to talk about fishing because, well, fishing season, or the game fish season anyway, opened all across our area. And maybe a little bit about foraging and some things you can find in the forest while you're out turkey hunting or hiking this spring. All right, so the boys finally over here. Well, what were you doing with your phone forever there, Wags? I thought that you were talking to Ananasio, some sort of deal, with you, since, you played for the Brewers, and you're this big baseball guy, that you might, be involved there.
We're working on a multi-year deal. We can't decide on 20 or 25 million yet, so we're still working on that.
Wait, that's what you're going to pay them, right?
I better run quick and get the hell out of here.
So this is awesome. Finally get the show out. We've kind of hinted at doing some live show stuff to be here at Buck Rub, a place that I know myself and Tasker shoot it all the time. I've got my bow here and all that stuff. And slinging some arrows as we get ready for spring. I know you and I plan to shoot turkeys with a bow this year.
Yep.
I did learn one very valuable lesson as we were just shooting. And I was sitting down, I've been doing, kind of training myself to the sitting down. You got to realize that where you turn your bow, if you turn to shoot a different target, say maybe it's a turkey that's moving across the field, be careful where your knees are. Remember the shot that sailed and bounced and ended up in the back wall?
Shot the raccoon.
Yep. It went over a raccoon. No, but the limb, when I released, the limb came down and actually hit me in the knee. So that's the lesson I'm going to take going into the field, is make sure I know exactly where my bow is oriented, when making that shot. And that's why, practicing ahead of time at a place like Buck Rub, but at an indoor place you can do that, I think is so important in not only staying sharp, but to give yourself the opportunity to learn things like that. So it's not out in the field and a gobbler walking across that I've been working all morning long and it's last day and that's my only opportunity and I blow it because my knee got in the way and I basically shot my knee.
Could have been a lot worse, though. You saved the arrow.
Right.
You're not injured.
Right.
So,
like I said, hit back wall. My first thought was, oh, there goes that field tip. But luckily, it just hit in a position.
Still safe.
I didn't lose it. I didn't break the arrow, most importantly. So, any tips you can think of as ways that you get ready, for turkey season, Wag, since you've been doing this forever?
Well, I did when we first walked in and I saw you. I wanted to make sure that I was on I'll be in the blind, but I won't be on the ground. So I will be on a chair or a stool of some sort that I have. But I do have to remember to pick up some broadheads for my turkey, my larger rage broadheads. And the one thing is, as I get older here, I don't know if it was really dark in there or lit up, but I think I may have to bring my cheaters out to the blind, because if a gobbler comes in at about 6:42 or 6:52 and I can't see, I'm like, I got to make sure I can see this thing.
Oh, yeah, the eyesight, and, you know what? As I look out of the range right now, it's darker. I think they turned the lights off. So it was lighter when we were out there, if that makes you feel any better or worse.
I don't think it was. And I don't have my sunglasses on either.
Anyway, anything you want to add to it at all?
Well, I've never done turkey, but I think just, getting out and pulling it back a couple times, getting used to, the different positions you might be sitting in, and just getting comfortable shooting as you learned.
Yeah.
Don't hit your knee, and make sure that you feel comfortable drawing back from a sitting position or something different from, standing from your tree stand, like I am so used to. Just getting comfortable with those and making sure you're feeling comfortable and dialed in and your sight isn't moved. That's a big thing. So
I think it's really nice when you have the animals out there, so I can see you guys use the lighted nocks when you were shooting on the range here. I could see where you can always talk about where to shoot the turkey, where's your kill shot. But when you do need to get out to the field, you do need to get out to the range, and you do need to shoot at a target like that. It's one of those things where you get an idea of where you are. There's one time where you shot and you said,
I'm a little too high.
Yep.
I knew it exactly. I agree. I think 3D targets are fantastic for exactly that, because you can hit a dot all day,
yes,
from any way, any position. But what's great about a 3D target is you can orient it differently. You can turn the target a different way because the turkey's not always going to come broadside right at you.
Right, it's not always a perfect shot.
Right, it may be showing you its backside, and then where do you shoot? Right up the chute,
right.
Technically.
Yeah.
to
So
be able to a Texas heart shot.
Yeah, to be able to actually picture and see it, I think it better prepares you for in the field when presented with that exact opportunity. Notice the other thing that I'm doing, that I'm not just wearing my Vortex Bino harness, because I'm trying to advertise Vortex in any way, shape, or form. It's because I'll be wearing them in the field, and that's how I'm going to be shooting. So again, getting used to drawing my bow, sitting in positions, moving around, doing things with this on me that I'll be wearing in the field. So that way, when I get out in the field, I'm not feeling uncomfortable because of it.
Right. When you had everything on, and you're right, and I was thinking the same thing, but I'm like, if I'm going to be in that blind, and if I do have something, I can take the heavy sweatshirt off or something like that, because I'll probably be more comfortable not just sitting in the open air.
Yeah, that was one thing I realized last year. I bought a new pullover that was just a quarter zip, and it was a little baggy, but I had to think about that with my arm that I had on the bow, not my drawing arm, because it was baggy enough to the point that I had to be very conscious of not making sure that flak that was in my arm would get in the way of the bowstring. So it's just, making sure that you're prepared for all those different situations, and, obviously just getting out there and having the stuff you need when you're going to be out there in the day, like you said, with your harness and everything. So it's just all those little things you don't think about. And then when you get up in the stand or you get out in your blind, you're like, oh man, I haven't done this before.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's game time. It's showtime. So, but.
Yeah, that's what is so great about having places like this, be it whether it's Bucker where we are or any of the other archery shops in around the area that offer, indoor ranges, especially ones that have 3D indoor ranges, because throughout the winter of staying sharp, and I posted this on my Instagram just the other day. It's at On Air Ritter if you want to track us there. Our show, by the way, is at On the Tailgate. But I had said that I feel guilty and feel bad to myself because I didn't keep up with shooting my bow throughout the winter. And I was afraid that by not keeping up with it, that muscle memory is so important in archery, that come spring, I'm not going to have that muscle memory built in myself that I really kind of ingrained in throughout the fall when I was in here shooting a lot and shooting 3D, outside and stuff and getting used to it. So this is my vow to stick back with it and stick with it, throughout the spring and throughout the summer and into next fall. So I'm in a good shape, which I can feel at my shoulder already. Just a couple of times I'm pulling back, like, oh yeah, I'm definitely not in shape.
Yeah, after we sent our first couple down the range, we were going out there to pick them up, and my first thought was, man, this feels good to be back in here. So
exactly, and I pull it back, and I was like this. I was like, whoa. I was my left arm was shaking. I'm like, this is why I shoot most of the summer.
We've talked a lot about archery because we're here doing that. We were shooting, but fishing. Man, it feels good to be looking at going back out and, there's, some species, panfish, things you can fish year round, but, everybody really get back out and kind of get into, the game species of the state. So I have not caught a muskie in my new kayak yet. Just quick update on that. The Lightning Strike has not put a muskie in the boat because obviously I can't fish muskies yet. So that's why I'm excited that I'm going to be able to get out and, chase some of those big, more predator fish.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun, especially in that scenario. I did hear, we did talk earlier about your escapade with trying to get in and out of a kayak. And now we're
the rolling situation.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to stay in I'm going to stay a little bit more stable and universal or normalcy. Like the kayaking and the fly fishing for a muskie. I've seen it, but yeah.
By the way, if you want to hear that story, it's on the latest episode, the one before this one. So you go back to that episode on our podcast page. You'll hear Tasker telling the story of rolling around out of a kayak in front of a dock and giving people all over the lake a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, and I haven't caught salmon yet or trout with my fly rod. So I did get out. I did buy that. I went out last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was out for a couple hours and had a couple jumping around, but no luck. Kept trying to drop it right on top there, but that's all right. It's just nice to be outside. I got a little sun on my face, and it felt good to be back outdoors again.
I feel you with that because I feel repetitive in I've got a YouTube channel, too, that I'm putting out some different hunting stuff content around being a busy dad and taking advantage of the time that you have. And there's been a lot of times where I'm out and I don't catch anything. And I feel like am I a failure for that? No. I feel like I'm repetitive, though, and I say exactly what you just said there. It's still just nice to be out.
It feels so good. Fresh air.
Right. You've got a couple of hours when, you can check out instead of laying on the couch just doing nothing. Just get out, even if I don't catch anything, just still to have a rod in my hand and be, throwing it, still feels dang good.
That's what it's all about, is enjoying the outdoors, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Trying to think here of where else I wanted to go with things on that. I mean, Talked about the goals of wanting to get a muskie in my kayak.
Here's one for you that you can
Yeah.
represent however you want to do it. So I work with individuals in the area pitching. We have a couple of kids. I have actually one kid who is going to Miami of Ohio. He's rehabbing right now, but what he has done, and I've heard about this and I've seen it, but I've never done it. They bow fish. Now, I know a lot of people are going to call in and say they've been doing it for a long time and this, but you know what? These guys, they love it. They actually love it. And then I see what they have put together with the LED lights, it goes nuts.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. And so bow fishing, we're here. I've never done it before.
I haven't either.
I
haven't set up my rig for it. I know you can do that. You can do it, get a separate bow, whatever you want to do it. But these guys are bow fishing, carp, gar, and it's just absolutely crazy, and they enjoy it immensely.
Yeah, my father-in-law they live on a lake up near the Watoma area, and he's always out there with his bow. And they have so many carp. They have a big carp problem in their little lake that they live on, and he's out there. And I remember, I don't know if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, but he had like a 32-pound carp that he sent an arrow through, and I just kept thinking, man, that's just so crazy. But when they're that big, they should be easier to hit. But there's a lot of factors involved with that. You know, the water reflection, you got to take into consideration the angle, and just feeling comfortable doing that too.
That's exactly where I know that I will struggle, and that's what people have said, is the reflection and the angle changes. So it's not like, here where we are shooting at 3D targets that you're looking, you just shoot the spot. You almost have to,
shoot over? Is it shoot
right,
over?
You
shoot over?
almost have to shoot over.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know. As all three of us are looking at each other, thinking, is that the way to do it?
Speaking of that, I did stumble upon somewhere along the YouTube black hole at one point. There were some guys in our area, I believe, that they were out in like a pop-up ice shack and drilled a bunch of holes. So you can't have a hole bigger than, I think, 12 inches is the biggest hole that you can have open. So they would drill like a grid of like 8 holes, right, 4 across, and then fill it in. So they're individual holes, but it fills up this large area. And they'd stand over this with their bows through the ice, and as fish came through, they were slinging arrows like down through the ice. And I'm like, I guess there's nothing that says you can't do that.
Right.
Well,
at least that we know of.
Right, yeah. Who knows, maybe I blew up their spot. And I blew up their
DNR's going to be finding them now.
Call up our warden. He's going to be searching YouTube for that. Okay, we find those guys. We talked about shed hunting earlier in the spring, winter, whenever that was. Do you guys look for morels at all?
I haven't. I have not, no, but
That's
I'd
a
be
Mother's
curious.
Day thing, right? That's my Mother's Day target.
Usually, somewhere around there.
Unless people have been telling me that's my target date and they go out before me.
Yeah,
and
that's
usually.
Yeah.
They're out the first weekend and you're out the
Pounds
second.
and pounds.
Yeah.
They'll take them up to the tavern. They'll take them up to the bar.
I've also heard that it's a lot of times when the temperature, the temperature starts hitting around like 50 degrees. It's kind of hanging around 50 degrees, and especially throughout the night. That's when morels really. So again, Mother's Day usually kind of fits the bill around that.
Dead elms.
All around
Mother's
dead
Day,
elms.
right around that thing. Yep.
Dead elms, backsides of hills, my front yard. Not kidding.
My backyard.
I legitimately, I live in the city. I'm like house to house packed in. So when we had bought the house back 5 years ago, I got talking to my next door neighbor, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, this and that," and he said, "I got to tell you, man, before you guys got here, I was loving it because your entire yard of this place was just covered in morels." And I'm like,
What?
That's really weird. It's strange. Go back. Well, I had one giant elm tree in the front. Okay. Now let's play it backward. There used to be, if you go on Google Earth and look at my place, you can't see any of the backyard or the garage that was there or anything because there was 3 giant elms in the backyard too. So they had cut those elms down. There was dead elm stuff there, so that's what kind of helped where the morels were growing. And it was a very moist area, given that there was a garage there. So there was last spring. I'm out in my front yard, and we've got this little kind of like garden things, around kind of like a front patio thing. And I look, I'm like, oh, sure as crap. Definitely a morel. I look, there's another morel. Oh, there's another morel. I was plucking morels out of my front yard in the city. I'm like, this is awesome.
Good size, or
one of them was
size?
a good decent size. It was kind of like a small, medium, and large. Like I had a perfect, the 3 of them that were there. And I'm like, well, maybe this continues because he told me about it the first year, and I've not seen any since. So that's what's kind of crazy. It's like 4 years went by, and I'm like, yeah, Brian's full of crap, And what I just say, well, I don't know what he's talking about. Those are morels, but yeah, legitimately, there's morels in my yard, and that's something I've always wanted to go out and search for. I know a lot of guys when they're turkey hunting, they say, Yeah, it's, that's the other thing. While you're turkey hunting, you just search for morels while you're out there. So,
and then you pick the ticks off you when you're done.
Right. So maybe I'll find some morels when I'm out turkey hunting here in a couple of weeks. So
I think a lot of people started to do that last year because if you think back a year ago, we were however many weeks into lockdowns and some of that stuff, and they were just looking for ways to get out. More than normal, I saw a lot of people that were posting about that. So it was a way for them to get outside and get some exercise, and it was something for them to do. And
it did upset a bunch of Germantown people. It did, because those guys normally go, and nobody else does it. And with the lockdown, with COVID, you're right, they were looking for things to do outside, and people were jumping tree lines. They were looking here and there, and he was like, whoa, what are all these people doing? Because then all of a sudden, the wild asparagus starts popping up, and then all of a sudden, people were pulling over on the side of ditches and just pulling it, and you're like, they never did that before. But you know what? Just to get outside again.
It's like wild leeks, another one, as far as foraging. I just feel like foraging in itself, that trend has become such a big thing. And I don't know if it was, like you said, last year with, the pandemic and people looking for things to do, or if that's just kind of like a trend in eating. I mean, think about field-to-table restaurants, farm-to-table, I should say, being kind of a trendy thing.
True.
Is foraging becoming kind of the next thing? And is that the next sort of outdoor activity? We say outdoors. It doesn't always have to be hunting and fishing. To me, outdoors is anything outside.
Right.
Another thing, oyster mushrooms.
Yes.
Oysters? Yes.
Oyster mushrooms?
Yes, those are the ones.
Let's see. Yeah, oyster mushrooms is another one we can eat that grow. What is it? Hen's crown. What is that one? It's kind of yellow and a lot of time grows on the south side of trees as well. It looks like big paddles sticking off. Chickens? So I'm totally butchering the name of it.
And those are edible too?
Yeah, that's another one that's supposedly edible in our area. I've seen them in some of the state parks. I'm not grabbing them because I'm not going to take the risk necessarily. I'm not a mushroom expert, so not going to do it. Like a morel, you know what a morel is, so that's a different story.
I think I'd be so nervous to do that because I'd be the guy that would go out and I'd eat some poisonous mushroom. Right? I love mushrooms, like sauteed mushrooms with onions or whatever. But I would be so nervous. I'd have to check and double check.
You can go one of two ways.
Really confirm.
Either you have some sort of weird reaction where it poisons and you get sick and you're throwing up, or you see weird things. I mean, it could be a real good trip too. You never know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just avoid those ones that are around cow manure. Avoid the ones around cow manure.
Okay.
But I mentioned wild leeks. And that was another one. I swear, there's an apartment that I lived in, not too far from our station where we typically record in Greenfield, that I swear those woods behind had a ton of wild leeks. Or wild ramps, specifically. So looking like, man, those look like ramps coming up. I never went back and I started pulling them up. So the wife's like, no, you're full of crap. That's just weeds. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure those are ramps.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that people look for. It's wild leeks, or, well, kind of the same thing, leeks, ramps, and then the mushrooms. So
that big buck that's walking around is probably eating on those.
I mean, the foraging I used to do as a kid was picking blueberries. Blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries. We would go up to, my uncle's had a place just off of Crooked Lake in the Nicolay National Forest there up in, is that Oconto County technically? I believe it's Oconto County, Crooked Lake there. And we'd hit some of the logging trails and go off of those and stuff into the Nicolay National and find the wild blueberries. Oh, man, there's nothing better than wild blueberries. Wild blueberry pancakes. That's like, I'm having flashbacks. I've not had this in years, and I'm like, oh, I can just taste them.
Yeah. I can send my daughters in the back. I always relate. I always put it with dates. So usually around 4th of July. That's when the berries start popping. I can send them with small little Tupperware or small little those lock things you can buy, and you put a cover on them. You throw them out. You get Chinese food in them usually.
Yep. They're stained.
And I take them, and I remember when my girls were growing up, they would go out there and I go, okay, fill this thing up. They'd come back and their face was all blue, and they have this whole big container. There's like 4 or 5 in there.
Oh yeah,
but yes, they loved it too.
Exactly. You're eating more than you're picking. We used to do the cherry picking too up in Door County. It's always end of August end of August, early September. Or middle somewhere there. I don't know. End of July, early August. There we go. Eventually I'm going to get it. We got the same thing. 2 for the bucket, 1 for me.
Right.
2 for the bucket, 1 for me. And you're like, oh, I don't feel so good. Well, it's because you ate half a cherry tree worth of cherries, y'all. Is there anything else that you guys ever remember going back and foraging, now that we're kind of on that foraging topic?
Not me, no.
There's a leaf, like a lettuce, a leaf. I want to say verduga, but it's not. It's a aruga, or
rhubarb?
No, it literally looks like a dandelion.
Arugula.
Yeah.
And
Often found in your 50-50 salads mix.
Correct. Yep. So I never knew that until a few years ago. And then all of a sudden it popped up again when we were having dinner. I'm like, yeah. And I looked it up, arugula. It looks exactly like a weed that's next to and I'm like, what are we doing there? Are we just trying to find things to eat and for roughage or what?
Dandelion greens are incredibly edible. Dandelion greens are great.
Really?
Yeah, that's another one that's really edible is dandelion greens. So those down in a salad. Yeah. I'm going to study more in foraging. I've actually got a book that talks a lot about foraging and stuff. Maybe eventually I'll read when I have some free time. It's been just a busy spring with lots of stuff going on, and it's only getting busier. Damn, it felt good to be out slinging arrows today.
Yeah, it did.
It felt good. My knee does not hurt, by the way, from
that's good.
the accident. And I do have video proof of it that you'll be able to see somewhere either on a social page of mine or YouTube channel that will show the idiocy of banging your knee because you're not aware of where they are.
Yep.
All the lessons learned.
So did we ever come up with a name for these live shows?
I don't know if we have a specific name.
These out and about?
Tailgate Talk out and about? I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to have to think on that.
Yeah, it is fun to get out, though, especially finally having all of us in the studio because I'm trying to think, we've only, maybe once or twice all been together in the same studio. It's usually like two people are in. And
about maybe twice.
It's almost always two of the three.
Yeah.
Here we are. We're all here.
It is
out
nice.
Bucking around.
Bucking around. Hey. Maybe that's what we stick with. Well, I feel like that's a perfect way to end things here. Bucking around. It's Tailgate Talk. Again, you want to check out more episodes of our podcast. They are all available on the free iHeartRadio app. Just search us out. Really cool thing you can do, actually, on the app is you can just click subscribe right there on the podcast, and it'll auto-download right to your phone. So when you're out on the boat, in a turkey blind somewhere, with your headphones in, I would assume, you can play us data-free and listen to it. And you can go back and listen to previous episodes and a lot of stuff we're talking about. And we've covered everything from, we can talk about shed hunting. We've talked about, preparing for seasons. We've talked about, all kinds of crap. Really just a lot of BSing, which is exactly what you do around a tailgate with your buddies post-hunt or shooting a bow like we've done today. So go check it out. Also, the show on 97.3 The Game, Saturdays in Milwaukee. You can stream it there on the iHeartRadio app as well. Thanks again. Tailgate Talk, Wags and Tasker. I'm Sean Ritter.